Saving your business money and making more profit in business is probably the single biggest challenge that we face as business owners, as managing directors, as executives, and it's absolutely key to organisational health. So in this vlog, which supports this article, there are 6 key areas that I just want to introduce you to. Now, each of them in the fine detail add a huge amount of value, so I'm not going to go into the fine detail on them, but they are topics which as a leader in business you want to jump into. So the first of them is forecasting. Now, for the vast majority of business owners, of executives, of directors that I work with and come across and coach, often this is something that isn't taken completely seriously. There are forecasts in place, but I'm talking about actually putting a forecast in place that has clarity in terms of what are you expecting on the sales pipeline, what is our expected cost of sales or cost of services going to be in relation to the growth that we are predicting, and what does our actual expenses look like, and then forecasting that over at a very minimum 3 months, but generally we personally work to a 12-month forecast. Now, for the vast majority of business owners right now, what are they working on? They're working on reviewing the P&L, looking at the balance sheet, that snapshot of right now, and maybe just what's in the bank account. And certainly for a real number of business owners, it is a case of hand to mouth, paying the next bill. Have we got enough money? What do we need to do? Forecasting allows you to predict. It allows you to see train crashes coming. It allows you to strategize in terms of what it is and what your growth needs to look like. Now, yeah, it's a work of fiction, but you're influencing the future in this context. So that's forecasting. The next one actually does link back to the P&L in the very simplest terms, and this is managerial responsibilities. So for every line entry in your P&L, who's responsible? Who's responsible in the sales context to make more sales, to ensure the margins are right, to ensure that we're as profitable as possibly can be, that our cost of sales and cost of goods is related to directly to what it is we're doing, and actually we're striving to get as high a gross profit as we possibly can. And then looking in terms of the expenditure in the business, where are we putting managerial responsibility there to make sure that our expenses are regularly monitored, that we are looking at the very best costs that we can get for maybe our suppliers or our utilities or whatever that might be. So putting managerial responsibilities in place is absolutely key. Hey, and guess what? If it's just you in the business right now, then you're responsible for it. What a great place to start. Go through each of your line entries in the P&L and determine how you can improve on the income and reduce on the expenses, the profit and the loss. The next one, and again, nice segue into the next one, which is marginal gains. And this is the power of one. Essentially, where you look throughout the business for just that 1% increase. Can you put your prices up %? Can you increase the volume of sales by a percentage? Can we increase our lead generation into the business by a percentage? And directly in virtue to that, can we increase our conversion rate? And what about increasing our accounts receivable or our accounts payable? So in terms of, are we invoicing, as quickly as we can? Are we, looking to the very best terms with our suppliers? And what about debtor days? Can we do something in terms of actually reducing our debtor days? Now, when you look at all those areas I've just mentioned, what happens is you create a compounded effect. And if you look at them regularly enough, and you look at just those small marginal gains, it can have a massive impact in your business over time. Next is test and measure. Now, this probably relates primarily to marketing. Now, in business, we know probably 50% of what we do marketing wise doesn't work. But the challenge for most business owners is we don't know what 50% that is. Now, test and measuring means that actually we're not going to just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, but rather we're going to take a really, analytical view at what we're doing test it over a period of time. And generally speaking, for most marketing strategies, you're probably going to need to give it at least a month, if not 90 days, 3 months. But you're able to then test what it is you're doing in order to determine whether or not it works. And once we know it works, we're then in a place where we can invest in that more heavily. We can put more money into that because we know that we put this amount of money in, we get this amount of money out. And that's incredibly valuable. Next is engagement. Now, this is really about your team. If you treat your team so well and they're passionate about what you do in a business and they get the purpose, you're not going to need to worry about your customers. They will absolutely tend and cater and look after your customers to the eighth degree. The challenge often is we don't focus on engagement, and actually we jump straight to focusing with the customer and making sure that they're getting the very best service, and then there's high levels of accountability when things go wrong. And I'm all for accountability, by the way, but if we make sure that there is a real focus on the team, you're never really going to have to worry about your customers. The point here is engagement is a big subject, but just start by understanding your team members, by getting to know your team members, by making sure that everybody on your bus is in the right seat and they understand what is their responsibilities. But there's more on engagement, obviously, in its wider context. The final one I want to share is your relationship with money. Now, I break it down into 2 very simple points here. Have you a wealthy mindset or have you a poor mindset? To gauge if you have a poor mindset, wonder if any of these comments resonate with you from maybe your, growing up. Don't spend it all at once. What do you think? Money grows on trees. That's too expensive. What do you think I am made of money? Now, when I was growing up, all of those things were a staple, and it was my muddy education. But what it meant was, as I grew up and went into the adult world, I had a scarcity mindset. There was never enough money. I was always worried about where was that next bill going to come from in terms of how I was going to pay it. I couldn't afford to go on holidays and all of those other things that come with money scarcity. And as I've grown over the last 10 years in my business, actually what I now know and what I now understand intimately is wealth. And I understand a wealthy money mindset. And so I look at money as a tool. And so when I look at money as a tool, I understand that money likes to move at speed. I understand that money likes to be put to work. I also understand that in order to grow my business, sometimes it's even better to have other people's money to do that. So where do you sit at the moment? Do you have a wealthy money mindset or do you have a poor money mindset? Look, 6 areas there just to have a look at in terms of how you can make your business more profitable. I think go take a look at them. If you want to reach out and have a conversation on that, always open to having a conversation, and drop it into the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. Let me know the level and degree that you're actually running these 6 elements in your business right now. If you want to make more profit and save your business money, kind of like an oxymoron there, then take serious note of these 6 areas. Hope that's helpful. Thanks a lot.